G'day guys, welcome to the channel. Today I am doing a layout that is, I'm documenting, okay, we always document, you know, when we're scrapbooking, we're documenting life and all that sort of thing. And I say all the time that I document the everyday. This I'm documenting for the sheer size and craziness that it was. This is the Australian wildfires. So for everyone overseas, you may or may not have seen it on the news. A couple of years ago, we had, like many other countries, we had wildfires, and they, like, we burnt so much, like so much got burnt. I mean, the smoke was so bad you could see it from outer space. Like, that's how bad this smoke haze was. And even though the fires were not in my backyard, unfortunately they did take out a lot of homes, and there was loss of life, and it was awful. So I wanted to, this particular photo is of the smoke haze that was around, and for some reason I snapped it because the way the smoke was sitting in the air, you can see by the color in the picture, it almost looks like it's a, like there's a filter or something on it, and it's not. It literally, that was my iPhone taking a photo through smoke in front of my house, which we didn't, as I said, we didn't have the fires in our backyard, but so many. I remember actually hearing on the news, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that there was a lot of flight issues with planes and stuff. And I mean, it was crazy time anyway, because it was in the middle of the old Rona situation. So it was crazy bad, crazy bad. So I wanted to document this, not just for the enormity of what it was. And you know, because we all hear, oh, it's a once in a lifetime event, or it's what did they say during oh, it slipped my mind now, but there's one word, unprecedented, that's the word, unprecedented. The amount of times we've heard that in the last 3 years, don't you wish I had $1 for it? Like, dollar for every time I've heard that. It just, we'd be millionaires. But yeah, so I pulled out the MINTAY papers. I know it seems odd, my selection of papers for the photo, but one of the memories that sticks with me, and this is what I document, I actually documented this all on the back of my layout. One of the things that profoundly affected me from this was seeing all the people. And for the life of me, I can't remember. I think it was Bateman's Bay, maybe. If you're an Aussie and you know where it was, please correct me in the comments. But I think it was Bateman's Bay or somewhere. I know it was off the eastern coast, and it had reached the point that the people had nowhere else to go, so they had to go out to the ocean, and they were literally on the beach, and the flames were up to the sand. Like, it was just, and these poor children and these poor people, and I'm not saying this to bring you down, I'm just, you know, this is what I'm documenting, and I think these are things that we need to, they're historic things that we need to document and remember. Not only do we remember the photos or what we're doing at the time or a certain smell, but for me, seeing those poor children getting into the boats on the water to get away from the flames, and it was pitch black. Like, it was nighttime, but it was midday. Like, it was horrendous. And seeing the fear on these people's faces, knowing that their homes, their livelihoods, everything was just being annihilated. And that was very real for me. And I think as parents, you know, any of us that are either parents or fur parents, you know, we might have our fur babies, you know, I think it hits differently. Like, when I was younger, I wouldn't have even given much of a thought to this sort of thing, but now I see these children getting on boats, and I envisage that being Angela or Jennifer or Taylor, you know, and how frightened they would be. And yeah, so I pulled out these MINTAY papers, and they're from the SUNTASTIC collection, and all these bits and pieces, they all came in this collection, and I've trimmed out to sort of make frames. I used them on a different layout, and I had some leftovers, and I thought, you know, I want this to be a simple layout. I don't want, obviously I didn't want glitter and shine and shimmer and all that sort of stuff, which I normally would use. But for me, the mood of the photo and the mood of the topic that I'm putting on this layout, it needed to be neutral. If that, I for some reason my body felt like it had to be neutral. Just needs to be straight up, just neutral, and just don't, no glitz and glam on this, because it was not a happy occasion for anyone involved. You know, because we had, at the same time, we had floods, we had flooding, we had, in different parts of the country, we had wildfires, we had flooding, we had all sorts of crazy, which, if you're not an Aussie, we have extremes in our country. Like, we live in a very, very dry, I think we have the driest climate worldwide, and we either get, I'm just, by the way, while I'm waffling, I'm just fussy cutting some of these images that were on the front piece. When you buy MINTAY collections, they actually, on the front page, on the flip side, they actually have these bits and pieces on there that you can cut out and use as ephemera. And we all know that that's what I like to do. I like to make my own ephemera. So, yes. So I'm just cutting those bits and pieces out. But I felt that this piece of paper really spoke to the occasion because it's the beach. It's not a sunny day on this paper. It's cloudy. It's a little bit overcast, but it's the beach. And that to me was the memory of where these people had to go, because they had nowhere else to go. I don't know why I keep saying Bateman's Bay, but I'm positive that was somewhere that was involved. So I'm just adding a few little florals, not to overdress it up. I did change the word from Australia's to Aussie, because once I put those frames at the top there with the cactus, it didn't fit. So I decided that I'd do Aussie wildfire smoke, and then obviously I've documented this story on the back side of this page. And because, you know, years from now, our children will obviously remember the pandemic, but if you're like me, do you remember things from your childhood, even though they were massive, they were big things? You look back and think, oh yeah, it wasn't really that bad. And that's just your body's natural ability to protect itself. So like the pandemic in years to come, I'm sure we'll sort of all go, oh yeah, it was bad, but you know, and we'll have that sort of glazed over sort of take on it. And I think that's what would happen with these wildfires as well. These fires, we've had a couple of really bad. South Australia had a massive, this was before this, and it annihilated, and it was just horrendous. And it took out so many people, and it was so incredibly, I remember crying. I didn't know anyone personally, but I remember being very emotional about it, because it was just, these people had no time. And that was the problem. And that's the thing with fire. Like, there's no time. And I remember, for everyone over in the US, the California wildfires, I remember they were really horrendous. And they made it onto our news. I think there was some in Greece as well. They were really bad. And, you know, I think it's important that we, and it's not to make our albums morbid or sad or to bring people down. It's not about that. It's about the memories, you know, how you were feeling at the time. And I get this question quite often, if you're still with me while I'm waffling. if you when it comes to our albums, we're trying to create memories for people to look back on in years to come, and it's that's what I'm doing. And I guess the timing of this particular layout, probably, I know that this is going up during a the festive season. I get that. This is going up on the 29th of December, but bad things don't wait for perfect times to happen for it to suit you. So I guess that's another reason why I just went, this is the next photo, this is the next cab off the rank. So guess what? We're going to do it, and we're going to embrace it, call it for what it is, and do it. Now, I use the KAISERCRAFT uppercase decorative alpha dies, and you saw me pulling them out of my little box. I've got what I decided to do was use my die cuts and sit and just cut a heap of letters out so that I can just pluck them out and use them whenever I need them. I can add a few on top of each other, create thickers. I didn't add any to this because I wanted it to just stay flat on the page. I didn't do a lot of raising up on here. I am using the Pink Fresh, these are the Pink Fresh Studio Metallic Pearls. These are the matte gold ones. These were given to me by Bobby. Thank you so much, Bobby. I think I'm saving all of my Pink Fresh. I don't know why I do this, but I'm saving them. But I thought those matte gold bits were adding a little bit of bling, but nothing too in your face. It wasn't glitter. So I did decide to go around all these letters just around the outside edge of them with a brown, it's just a brown Montmartre adult colouring pen, and just to give it a bit more definition because it was sort of sinking into the background a little bit. And yeah, so that was super, super simple. And I'm just adding a little bit of journaling down there, but that I'm putting that there so it's a precursor to flip the page and read more about it. And that is pretty much my layout done, guys. Now, I hope this hasn't been too deep, dark, and heavy for everybody. I know everyone's probably dropping in to be lifted up. This is my layout. If you would like to see the photos, jump on into the description below, and I've got my link to my Facebook and my Instagram. I've also got my link to buy me a coffee if you want to help support the channel for supplies in 2024. And thank you so very much. I will be back with another video for you tomorrow. Bye for now, guys.